Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Movie Nights Roundtable. I'm Nick Iricchio, and we're going to be going through a ton of exciting movie news stories, trailer reactions, first look images, and the reason you clicked as well with the official announcement
of exciting movie
of
news stories,
James
trailer
Gunn's Superman 2, officially titled Man of Tomorrow. We're going to go into all the details, all the exciting news bits about that. And you're probably thinking, Nick, why are you doing the show alone? That's because Dalton had some plans tonight. He's actually attending a concert, and he hates everyone that usually watches. So he said, "You know what, Nick, I'm done, and you can do the show on your own." So, with that out of the way, a few other housekeeping items off the top. If you are interested in talking in the live chat, I will be able to because Dalton did help me officially set up my chat. I have to look over here on my other screen, and we can have you pop up on the screen like that. So if you're engaging in the chat, want to ask a question, or if you feel inclined to leave us a super chat, your question will take priority. But I'm excited to actually be able to finally utilize this feature. On top of that, as well, if you like to have your movies not be region locked, you should consider checking out our affiliate link for NordVPN. Very excited to have that sponsorship going. We actually just got an extension on it, which is very exciting. So thank you all for the people who have clicked and supported the channel. We love to have it. But with that being down, guys, we have a massive show tonight. Oh, look at that. We have Morgan Bernard in the chat saying, "Go, Nick." Thank you very much. This is definitely not nerve wracking. So we're going to have a great time with this. And as always, we're going to cut now to my wonderful PowerPoint. And I'm saying that, and it sounds very self indulgent because Dalton usually compliments it. Now I'm just complimenting my own work. But we're going to go into our sort of start here. And that is, guys, we have some breaking news. That is right. And what is our breaking news, you may ask? Well, this concerns a little movie called Alien Romulus. It was a movie that I very much enjoyed. It's a franchise that I love, and I thought that Fede Alvarez, who directed Alien Romulus, did an absolutely terrific job with it. He understands gore, he understands suspense, as he's done with his Evil Dead movies in the past as well. I think he's a great director. It was a great choice to bring this on. And you've probably been excited about the concept of a Alien Romulus sequel, which has been officially confirmed and greenlit and is going to be, I think, ramping up production real soon. But with that does come some sad news, and that is that Fede Alvarez will actually not be directing this one. This report comes to us from Variety here. Let me go ahead and share the screen here. So Fede Alvarez, who reinvigorated the Alien franchise with Alien Romulus, won't be returning to the sequel. Speaking to 2Fab, he said he will stay on as a producer, but he and Ridley Scott will search for a new director. We just finished the script, actually, for a sequel. I'm going to pass the torch on this one as a director. I'm going to produce it. We're going to produce it together. We're trying to find a filmmaker to come in. And I believe the quote that he ended up using was, "and really go for the jugular with it." So I think he definitely does still understand the direction he wants to take it. I'm glad that he's actually still going to be involved in a producer and is still very much working closely with the franchise. And it's not just a situation where he came in, directed, and now he's leaving. And I am very curious to see, one, what project Fede Alvarez wants to take on that maybe he decided to pass on this ultimately, and two, who they're actually going to come in and have actually directed. I think something that would be interesting would maybe to have, I believe his name is Sebastian Vornicek. I might be butchering his last name, but he's actually directing the next Evil Dead movie, Evil Dead Burn, which I think has wrapped production or is getting really close to wrapping production. So it would be kind of fun to maybe see someone from the Evil Dead as well, like Fede Alvarez, kind of move and transition over into the Alien movie. But I digress. What do you guys think? Are you excited about the concept of an Alien Romulus sequel? Do you not really care? And who would you like to see direct it? Are you also sad that Fede Alvarez is not going to be coming back to it? I'm going to move now on to, guys, we had so many trailers come out this week. So many great trailers come out this week that it was really hard to narrow down specifically which ones we wanted to talk about, or rather I wanted to talk about. And I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on the show because we could have probably spent about 2 hours just going through all the exciting stuff this week. But we settled on 4. So if you guys will bear with me for this segment. And I realize now that I'm not screen sharing, so there we go. And the first trailer that I want to talk about is for House of Guinness. This is a new Netflix series that you guys may have, if you've watched the channel before, heard me talk about. Share my excitement for it, that I'm a big fan of just the Guinness brand. I actually went to Ireland and got to go to the Guinness factory, which was such a cool experience. I'm also a big fan of the Peaky Blinders series, and that is created by a guy named Stephen Knight, and he wrote and directed it. He's working on the Peaky Blinders movie. Well, this is his new show, actually. So you're now pairing Peaky Blinders writing team, which I love, with a franchise and a beer that I do quite frankly enjoy very much. And it was just a very exciting thing to have and to be down the pipeline. But we did receive our first trailer. Now, we do kind of get a little iffy here with copyright. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just go to this single this wide here, and we're just going to kind of mute it and just kind of go through it. So the trailer does open up here with the beautiful Guinness gates in Ireland, and that's actually still there, which is pretty cool to actually see there. And just the whole sort of vibe of it, you're kind of going through the process of the beans. And the whole process of the show is essentially that the man who created Guinness has passed away, and he's leaving the heir and his fortune at the Guinness factory to his four children, actually, specifically his two children. And I think the other two are pretty upset about that. And the creator Peaky Blinders, there we go. And it just seems like your very typical Peaky Blinders fashion. You have all the smoky stacks of now Ireland instead of London. And it just looks like it's going to be just this really great family drama centered around the Guinness Empire. And I still stand by that Trouble is Brewing is probably one of the greatest taglines that's come out of TV in a long time. It looks like there's some riots that are happening. And it just looks like it's going to be a massive scale event. And I am very excited. Let's see if there's the release there. And it comes out on Netflix September 25th. So we get to check that out pretty soon. This is, I would probably say, outside of Peacemaker, which is now airing currently, it's probably my most anticipated show this year. So I'm very excited to check that out. But are you guys excited? Let us know as we move on to our next trailer. Now, there is a director and writer by the name of Emerald Fennell, and she worked on Promising Young Woman, which is a movie that I very much loved. I really, really enjoyed Promising Young Woman. I think she's a very strong director. I think she might be more of a strong director than a writer personally, and to me that was kind of more evident in Saltburn. I thought Saltburn was beautifully directed. The writing kind of was hit or miss for me, but you're probably thinking, well, what's her next movie going to be? What are we going to be working on? Well, it has been the long awaited adaptation of the novel Wuthering Heights. But it does seem like with this trailer with Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi that they're kind of going maybe in a weirder direction with it, a little more different direction, hence the quotes around the title of Wuthering Heights. And we did get the official, I believe they called it a teaser for it. And let me pull that up here for you guys here. And there's a lot to break down in this. One over 6 million views, which is crazy. People love Margot Robbie here. It's taking on a very more kind of sexualized approach than, I think there's a lot of sexual themes throughout the original novel as well, but I think they're going in kind of a different direction with this, which kind of made me a little, we'll see how this goes about. You have the very seductive kneading of some dough and kind of cuts back and forth to Margot Robbie. We get our good look at Jacob Elordi here, who I'm very excited to see him as Frankenstein coming up in Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein movie. So the man's staying booked. We have a lot of cuts of just Margot Robbie and kind of just blowing up. Lovely cinematography. I think that, again, going back to the idea of Emerald Fennell as a director, I think she's great. So I'm very excited to see a kind of new modern adaptation of Wuthering Heights. I mean, just look at this shot with the red and all the snow. But I do want to find, there's a very important shot in this trailer, and I will find it. Just a man sticking a finger in a fish. Why that's in the teaser, I don't know, but if that's the vibe of the movie, I'm in. That's all I have to say about that. But listen, I mean, it looks interesting. That's what I'll give them. I think that you have two very good and strong actors in your leads in it. I think Jacob Elordi is someone who's definitely coming up in a lot more now, and I'm very excited about that. I think he did great as oh my god, Elvis in Priscilla. I thought he did a fantastic job in that. Like I said, I'm very excited about him and Frankenstein, but I don't know. Emerald Fennell's hit or miss for me. I trust Margot Robbie as a producer, and I think she's a massive talent, so we'll see how that one goes. But did you guys have a chance to see the Wuthering Heights trailer? If so, what did you think? Do you think it's going in the right direction, the wrong direction? Please let me know in the comments. Now, these next two trailers I'm very excited about. And I'll give you a little backstory first. So we're going to be talking here about, forgot to go into slideshow mode. The trailer for 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. Now, a little background about my history with this franchise, in that I've never seen any of them except for 28 Years Later. And man, oh man, did I not know what I was signing up for when I watched that movie. It took me a long time to get into the vibe, and then it won me over, and I ended up really enjoying that movie. And I think that my enjoyment from it largely stemmed from the introduction of Ray Fiennes' character, because I think that Ray Fiennes is one of the greatest actors working currently, and if you put him in your movie, it's always going to be a good time. Now, I was hesitant about the concept of just jumping right in so quickly after into another movie in the franchise, but there's a lot of positives in this for me. One, it's focusing a lot on Ray Fiennes' character, which is very exciting because I thought he was the absolute standout of the last film. You're going to have more of Jack O'Connell, who shows up at the end with his gang of, I believe they're called the Jimmies, if I'm not mistaken. And he was absolutely, Jack O'Connell gave a terrific performance in Sinners as sort of the lead vampire there. So I'm very excited to see just the two of them on screen acting. And it's directed by Nia DaCosta, who I'm a big fan of. I was kind of on the Marvels, but I did really enjoy her Candyman film. I think she's a very strong director, and she has this coming out, and she has a trailer we talked about on a recent show, Heda, or Hedda, starring Tessa Thompson, which I thought looks absolutely fantastic. And I thought that this trailer was also giving in that same direction of sign me up, inject this into my veins. I'm so excited. Here, let me go ahead and share some little bit from it here. So we start off obviously with a shot of the Bone Temple from the other movie, from the first one there, and just kind of repeating a lot of the same beats of the trailer for 28 Years Later, with this sort of poetry or this song kind of chant repetiting and kind of going over and over again, which I thought was the strongest element of the trailer. The marketing for this, it kind of went viral for it. Apparently this one didn't pick up as much steam there, but again, I think there's a lot of positive. There's Ray Fiennes, our boy, going back into with the Zombie King. I don't remember his exact name there. I'm just going to call him that. And what's really interesting too is we have sort of the island. Like, it is very much picking up right where this movie leaves off, which I think is very exciting here. We get the look at the Jimmies there, and there's our boy Jack O'Connell there. And I thought that the cinematography of the film looked great, at least from the trailer. I am very excited because I think Danny Boyle's he's got a very specific directing style, and obviously all the movies have kind of been in that same style, and I do like Alex Garland a lot as a writer. I think he's a better director than he is writer, kind of the same thing with Emerald Fennell there, but I am excited about his involvement in it. I'm excited Danny Boyle is producing it, and I'm excited for Nia DaCosta to be behind the camera. I think when you have Hida, that's going to, I think, do very well on, I think it's a Prime movie, as well as this kind of coming in, especially after kind of a lot of the, not backlash with the Marvels, but there were a lot of production troubles that she had kind of cited that were more on the studio side of things, and I think she had a lot of frustration that she was kind of expressing through that. Um, but I think it's exciting to see her coming in and gonna have a great win with it. And this comes out, I think, early next year, January 16th. So that's a very exciting one to look forward to. And I actually do want to pull up too, just to kind of double down on it, because I know we can't really play the audio and everything here, but I did want to kind of showcase just some more stills from the movie here. We have our boy Ray Fiennes, who is crushing it. And I say crushing it, I'll say that about any photos of Ray Fiennes, personally. We have a better look at Jack O'Connell and the Jimmies, and they are actually in the Bone Temple, which is very exciting. So the fire ring going. And there's our boy again, and they made him cover it up. Shame. Maybe that's just for the marketing. We'll see when the movie comes out. But I don't know. I'm excited for it. I I didn't love 28 Years Later. I didn't hate it. I don't think I knew what to expect from it. So I think now that I have a sort of grasp about the world and the vibe and kind of the direction that the story is going, it did make me excited about this sequel. So we'll have to check that out when it comes up. But now we get to go on to my favorite trailer that I want to talk about. This was a trailer for a project that I was sort of on. There was some rumors about maybe it would have been a movie. This is actually a trailer for a TV series. There was rumors and talks at one time that it was maybe going to be a movie. And I just want to preface this trailer by saying I fucking wish it was a movie after seeing this trailer. I hope that maybe they just drop all the episodes into theaters so I can watch it. I did not expect this trailer to go as hard as it did. I did not expect to be as excited about this as I am. And that trailer is for Marvel Zombies. And this is a trailer that is a series. It's going to be, I believe, 4 episodes. It's TVMA, and we'll get into that in a minute. Don't you worry. And it was one that it took me by surprise, guys. I didn't think I was going to be as hyped for it as I am. And I'm trying to pull up the trailer here for you all now. And just immediately right off the gate, we're starting with the following preview is rated TVMA. And you get a lot of very cool shots in the trailer. We get to look at, this is a Dora Milaje zombie there. Followed by, I think this is supposed to be Zemo getting something by someone. And there's a lot of speculation, too, trying to figure out who this is. I saw some people saying it's an Eternal. I saw some people saying that it is maybe Hercules from Thor. So that would be very interesting to see. We got our zombie Captain America, of course. Zombie Hawkeye. And then we got some Shang-Chi action here. And great look at, like, Miss Marvel. Blade is Moon Knight in this, which is rad. Blade being the fist of Khonshu goes unbelievably hard. I believe we have Florence Pugh here. And Red Guardian gonna get some Thunderbolts vibes going here. And then we have this, which was not something I thought was going to be in this show, but got me all the more hype. It is a zombie version of Namor. Hell yeah, I love that they're just throwing everyone into this. Everyone gets to be a zombie, including our boy Jimmy Woo getting to fight and save lives. We got a zombie Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. Some shenanigans are going to be afoot there. And of course, we have our boy Spider-Man, who gets to do all sorts of cool zombie stuff. This made me want a R-rated Spider-Man movie. I won't lie. That shot alone just was so cool. Got some great action here with Blade. Get our first look at Khonshu here. I wonder if they'll have F. Murray Abraham coming back to voice Khonshu. We got him splitting Ant-Man. And then we have just the coolest sequence in this, which I will get to at the end there. But the coolest part here, too, is we get a look at the cast. And I love to see that they are getting a ton of people coming in and actually reprising their roles of the character. Elizabeth Olsen's coming back as Scarlet Witch, Paul Rudd Ant-Man, Florence Pugh, David Harbour, Tessa Thompson, so Valkyrie's in it. I don't think we saw her in the trailer. Awkwafina, Simu Liu. So the Shang-Chi sequel we're finally getting is just in the Marvel Zombies series. Wyatt Russell. So they are going to be following up a lot on the kind of Thunderbolt side of things. But I also have here just a few images. Just because I thought, my God, we need to take a closer look at some of these shots. Namely, obviously, zombie... Ooh, hold on. I did this all backwards. My bad, guys. We have here a better look at the zombie Spider-Man, just sort of whipping all the zombies' heads out. Another shot of Blade as the Moon Knight, Namor, and then this is probably the coolest part of the whole movie and or show is going back to the zombie or Moon Knight Blade. We get to see Blade in action here, and he is fighting Ghost in this clip. And I'm gonna play this clip in full because I mean, look at the Blade moves, look at the sorcery, look at Ghost just kind of glitching about. This right here is why we need a Blade movie, and this right here is why I don't get why making a Blade movie is so hard. He's a cool dude with a sword hunting vampires. If I can get just that level of energy in one clip for 90 minutes, you're going to tell me you can't sustain that? Just make this the movie. Have him fighting Ghost. I don't care. That was the coolest shit I've ever seen in a Marvel animated project, and that includes all of What If. That 10-second little clip got me more excited for this show than all of What If. Just make a Blade movie, guys. It's not that hard. And you know what? Make Shang-Chi 2 while we're at it. Morgan in the live chat agrees with me. We need a second Shang-Chi. I agree. Where's our boy? I'm sure he'll be in, whatever you call it, Doomsday. But guys, that'll do it here for our trailer section of it. I know that was a lot. Normally we end up talking about one or two, but I mean, look at that lineup. We had to talk about all of those. I wasn't going to not talk about Marvel Zombies, all right? And on top of the trailers, too, we actually have quite a number of first look images that I wanted to talk about as well. So the first is actually marking the start of production of Shawn Levy's Star Wars movie, Star Wars Starfighter. So just off this image here, we have Ryan Gosling, and I am totally blanking on the child actor's name in it. Give me 2 seconds while I pull that up, because I don't want to. It is Flynn Gray is going to be the co-lead of the movie with Ryan Gosling. And I like it. You have the vintage kind of Star Wars look of the cars. I like the black and white. I think we're going to kind of maybe go with a little classic Star Wars vibe, maybe a little 80s, a little dirty, a little more rebellion focused. And we have another story about Star Wars Starfighter that we'll get into later in the show, which I thought was very interesting bit of news. But as far as first look images goes, I mean, great. I like that they're showing us the start of production. I feel like typically a lot of Star Wars projects end up being very kind of secretive, very hush-hush. So I love that we're out here. Here's a look at the characters. I think Star Wars needs to start being a lot more proactive with this kind of marketing, with this kind of stuff, especially because it's been so many years since we've actually had a Star Wars movie in theaters. The next one is going to be Mandalorian and Grogu, which I believe at a convention recently, they kind of showed some first looks from that, as well as some clips and images. I think a few released online as well. And I'm excited to see a trailer for that. We'll see how that goes. But this is one that I wasn't necessarily excited about or interested in, but then more and more news came out about it that got me more and more excited. You know, I'm a Shawn Levy fan. I know that's not the cool thing to say. The internet wants you to hate him. I I've always enjoyed his movies, even going back to Real Steel. This Is Where I Leave You. Not This Is Where I Leave You. Yeah, I think it is This Is Where I Leave You. Um, the Internship with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. I watch it every time it's on TV. I don't know why. For whatever reason, that movie just cracks me up. I think it's my love for Vince Vaughn. But I think it was great, and I love Deadpool and Wolverine. I thought he did an excellent job with it. So I'm nothing but excited for his Star Wars movie. And then saying that, you know, as more news came out about it, we had then the confirmation of Ryan Gosling. We had the addition of Mia Goth. We had the addition of Matt Smith as the villain in the movie, who does a terrific job in the new movie Caught Stealing, which I highly recommend, the new Darren Aronofsky movie starring Austin Butler. But I think I'm excited for it. I'm very excited to watch it, and we'll see what happens here. And before we move on, we have a live chat here. Kevin Davis in the live chat saying, Star Wars fan base always complain and being negative. Unfortunately, that has been the case recently, and it's very sad to see. You know, Star Wars kind of became a toxic fandom there for a bit. And, you know, I think it's... I would love to see the change, the turnaround. I think they have a lot of exciting projects coming up, especially, like I said, I'm very interested in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I'm very excited about this. I know Ahsoka Season 2 is going to be beginning production soon. So I'm hoping, but nothing but positive vibes from Star Wars. But I know that a lot of people have kind of felt scorned in the past by it, and it does have that sort of toxicity there for a bit, especially during kind of the Ryan Johnson era. But we'll move on here too to our next first look image, and this is all coming out of that Disney convention we talked about, and this is involving Toy Story 5 and a bit of casting news there. There's going to be a character called Smarty Pants, who's going to be how like a toy that teaches you how to be potty trained, and it's being voiced by none other than Conan O'Brien, who I think is just one of the funniest people alive. I thought he has probably my favorite episode of Hot Ones. If you have not watched Conan O'Brien's episode of Hot Ones, I highly recommend it. You immediately see why he's one of the great comedians of our time, and it's just absolutely incredible to watch. And he did a fantastic job hosting the Oscars. I believe he's already confirmed to be hosting the upcoming ones. I would have to double check that, but I'm like 90% sure that that was confirmed. And he's going to be Smarty Pants in it. And I just think, I mean, just seeing the image up here, seeing the character design, I get it. I know the vibe. He's already going to be doing his little like weird voice that he always does. Great casting. Great job, Disney. Great job, Pixar. But with Toy Story 5 too, there was also another first look here, and that is at the villain of the movie, I believe is what the announcement was, which is a children's learning tablet named LilyPad, and just kind of the first look design here of it. Just your stay, it looks like an iPad in a frog case. I'm very interested to see who they end up having voicing it. There was no confirmation of it. There was no, the same image with like Conan O'Brien that was not revealed. The only rumor that we can kind of go off of is Anna Faris, who's a wonderful comedian. She's absolutely hysterical. Is has joined the cast in an undisclosed role. I don't think they'd waste Anna Faris on a small role, so I wouldn't be shocked if it ends up coming out that she is the voice of LilyPad. But until we have an official casting announcement, we can at least speculate as well. We got Kevin Davis in the live chat again saying Zootopia 2, Toy Story 5, Frozen 3 will make money at the box office for Disney. Anything original, people will wait until they arrive on Disney Plus. And that's a very good observation because that's entirely true. Especially during the pandemic, right? Disney started dropping a lot of stuff onto Disney Plus, and they trained the audience just to wait at home for it because the turnaround time, the theatrical window shortened very substantially and very quickly, and they were just dumping the content onto Disney Plus directly. I believe Soul was a direct to Disney Plus release as well, and Lightyear kind of had a very weak box office performance from it, as well as some of the other original movies. One that did actually surprisingly well was Elemental. It just had the longest legs that I've seen in an animated movie in a long time. It just kept consistently making money over week. It did not, make the $1 billion that these legacy sequels have been making for Disney and Pixar, but I believe it did reach its way to profitability, which was a huge win for that movie that didn't have a strong opening but just stayed consistent. But you're entirely right. Inside Out 2 made so much money, as did The Incredibles 2. And I think it's going to be the same thing, like you're saying. Zootopia 2, Toy Story 5, Frozen 3, and Disney's even come out and vocally said that they are going to be focusing a lot on these sequels because that's where the money is. So, but you want to sound all doom and gloom about that too, where you're like, oh my God, do we need a Toy Story 5? Do we need Zootopia 2? Do we need Frozen 3? I thought Incredibles 2 and Inside Out 2 were both excellent films. I really enjoyed them. I'm very excited about Zootopia 2. I thought Toy Story 4 was fantastic, and I have hopes for Toy Story 5 as a result of that. I don't think you get to a Toy Story 5 without a good story. I think that they would focus more on other IPs within that. So I think they really had something special with Toy Story 5 that they're very excited about. But my question is, where the hell is Cars 4? I love Cars. I'll say it. I'll say I'm a Cars fan. 1 is absolutely incredible. 2, I don't want to talk about too much. I did enjoy 3. I watched all the Tow Mater shorts that they did. I love the first Cars movie. I think it's an excellent Pixar movie. Going next here to our next first look image. This one, I'm not a sports person, I'll admit, but there is a movie coming out about John Madden with Nicolas Cage playing John Madden. Now, if you've watched the show for any amount of time, I'm a massive Nick Cage fan. He's my favorite actor. Con Air is my favorite movie of all time. I will watch anything Nick Cage does, and I'm going to be excited about it. And I want to share this first look image here of the first look of him as John Madden in character, in the costume, in the outfit we're seeing. But there was such a funny, so many tweets about it. With the big headlines, the all caps, right? All the clickbait stuff. Nicolas Cage is unrecognizable as John Madden. And then I click the article wanting to see what this makeup performance looks like. They just put Nick Cage in a fat suit. That's Nick Cage. What do you mean he's unrecognizable? Look at him. That's Nick Cage. It was like the same thing when the first look images for The Smashing Machine and like The Whale came out. And it's like Brendan Fraser, unrecognizable in The Whale. You're like, no, that's Brendan Fraser, just did makeup. You're like, oh, look, they put a prosthetic nose on The Rock. It's still The Rock. I don't have much more to say about this. I just thought that was funny because that's just Nick Cage in a wig. We don't normally. Oh, I'm going to get a drink. I apologize. We don't normally talk about video games on this channel a lot, which is very funny because we actually do have a main news story talking about a video game movie. But we do talk about Daredevil a lot. And I've dabbled in Marvel Rivals, but it's not something that I have played a ton of. I like to main Namor. I don't know what that makes me in the Marvel Rivals community, but I thought I like it. The new season's coming out. They had another character announced called Angela. But they gave us Daredevil in the trailer. And I just thought that the images that they have released of Daredevil in this game just look fucking rad. It's wonderful character design. They got this sort of dragon horns coming out of him, this sort of samurai outfit going on. We got him with a dragon with these chains and whip chains. And we know that Daredevil's always going to be out here aura farming. And I mean, what the hell is this? Bro, that's my lawyer. It looks cool. I assume that's related to his ult. I just thought that it was cool character design, and I wanted to talk about it and share with you guys. I will probably update Marvel Rivals just to play as Daredevil. I'll probably lose. I'll probably go 0-10 with him, but I'm not going to change because we out here and we support Matt Murdock. Now, the last one here, is for DC. So there's a movie coming out in DC called Clayface, which is being directed by the guy who directed See No Evil, which I really enjoyed, or the remake of See No Evil, I should say, whose name is fully escaping me, and I apologize for that. But it's written and being produced by Mike Flanagan, who I think is one of the best horror directors working, just one of the better directors working as well. He had a movie come out earlier this year called Life of Chuck, which was terrific. I loved it. It's in my top 10 so far this year. I was moved by it. I thought Tom Hiddleston gave a great performance. I loved to see Mike Flanagan not kind of taking a horror direction and just showing like, no, I can just do this for anything. I'm just that good. Clayface is coming out, and we're getting some first look images here. So we see the actor here, and we're already seeing the transformation begin. Here he is looking all normal. We got some beating up, some bloodiness, some everything like happened here. And I just thought it was cool to see that they're filming, that they're out. We're getting to see some set photos, but there's also a lot more to talk about with this. And that is that some of the filming locations, people have been pointing out online that the Gotham cars, the police cars, are very similar to the Robert Pattinson Batman ones. There's been scenes online of him kind of playing with his shadows, and he's outside of a courthouse, which is the same courthouse from the Robert Pattinson Batman. The Gotham insignia for the logo with the Latin is the same as the Robert Pattinson Batman. But the interesting thing about it is that this movie is fully set in the DC universe, which has a lot of people speculating online, like, is this official confirmation that Clayface, and more specifically Robert Pattinson's Batman, will be the Batman universe within the DCU? I don't think that's the case personally. I'm against the merge. I know there's a big wave of people online. They're kind of making fun of like the kind of Zack Snyder bros. Snyder bros calling them merge bros. I would prefer it to be separate. I think that there's no issue with having different universes, especially if from the beginning of your universe, James Gunn said he wants to do these multiverse movies. He wants to have kind of the separate Elseworlds type projects. And I think that you have a great thing going with Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves' saga and their universe. That being said, I could get wanting to have your Batman movie and not have parallel Batman franchise running. Obviously, with things like the Joker, you can kind of get away with it where they're a little more isolated. So I also wouldn't be shocked if the Reeves verse does kind of end after the Batman Part 2. I think this is nothing more of maybe just trying to stoke some online rumors. They want people talking. They want to promote the Clayface movie. I think this is some viral marketing going with that. I think the courthouse could just be a location coincidence. This could also be them maybe future planning. Maybe the confirmation has not been set yet if they are going to keep the Matt Reeves verse and the DCU separate. Maybe they are going to merge them, and maybe these little tiny details are so inconsequential that in the grand scheme of things it won't matter, but in retrospect if they decide to merge, it'll be, I don't know what they're doing. I don't think that that's what they're going for. I don't think it's going to be set in the Matt Reeves universe. I'll eat my words if I'm wrong. I'm hesitant about the idea of Robert Pattinson as the DCU Batman, but we'll see what they end up doing. But that'll do it, guys, for the first look image section. I'm glad we got to talk about those and go through those here. And before we move on to our top stories from this week, I do want to talk about some live chats we got going on here. So Kevin Davis says the MCU will bounce back with Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars Black Panther 3 at the box office. I don't disagree. I think that the benefit of Doomsday, and I know there's kind of been this downward trend in Marvel recently. You have Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four doing fine at the box office, but ultimately underperforming based on Marvel's previous standards, and that's sort of the issues. You're going off the Marvel previous standards here. But I think that stuff like, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness made 800 million. I think it may have been in the 900 million, almost $1 billion at the box office. Deadpool and Wolverine made a ton of money at the box office. Spider-Man No Way Home made a ton of money at the box office. And what's interesting is people saying that the multiverse was a bad idea in the EMCU. All those movies I named are explicitly all of their multiverse projects that all did the strongest out of all of them. And I think that's too because they do have kind of a gimmick factor to them. You want to see Doctor Strange going into the different universes. You want to see Spider-Man fighting all the previous villains. You want to see him team up with Tobey and Andrew. You want Deadpool and Wolverine together. You want them seeing what the heck they're doing with the Fox universe now that they own Fox and all that stuff. And I think that Avengers Doomsday is no different. I think that no matter what state the MCU is in, an Avengers movie is always going to perform well because of that title, Avengers. And even so, everyone is so interested to see Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. For better or worse, you could be totally against the idea. You could be totally pro the idea. You're going to go watch it because you just need to see. And they know that, and I think that's super beneficial to them. So I think that Avengers Doomsday will end up outgrossing Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, Captain America Brave New World. Absolutely. Same thing with Secret Wars. Same thing with Black Panther 3. Avengers Secret Wars is going to be this massive event, especially as they're building into it. I've got nothing but high expectations for it, which I know I shouldn't because of the state Marvel's been in. And Black Panther 3, same thing. That is just a crowd-pleasing franchise. It's one that I very much enjoy, so I'm very excited about that concept. Also saying here, Kevin Davis again, people will go see Supergirl and Clayface at the theaters. Concerned that it's not going to be box office success Warner Brothers is hoping for. I don't know how much of a box office success they're hoping for with it. I think at this point, they're not looking for that $1 billion movie. I think they're looking to make movies that are profitable. Already, Superman, just right out the gate, is profitable. And a lot of DCEU movies toward the end there were not really as profitable as they were hoping for. So the fact that they came out, made a Superman movie that did very well, was very critically well received, and is profitable at the box office, and has already announced a sequel, which we are going to be getting to. I know it's why you clicked the thumbnail. It is our main topic. And I think that the hype around Superman is going to help carry Supergirl a little bit. You know, her scene was one of the more talked about, just her little cameo in Superman. Spoilers for Superman. There were no production troubles on it. I think people are very interested. Peacemaker season 2, I just watched the 3rd episode, has been nothing but banger after banger. I'm loving where this season's going. I'm so excited to see how it turns out. So I think that their concern is just not the box office success, but just profitability and well received, showing that there's life in this franchise yet after kind of the bad trend downward toward the end of the DCU that they had. They also, to my understanding, I don't think Clayface is a very expensive movie. And I think that maybe that is also going into why they kind of had these like weird parallels to the Matt Reeves. I think that people are interested in that. And I think if they market this right, they have already introduced Clayface in the DCU technically in Creature Commandos. I don't think that there's a high bar there for them to hit in the box office to become profitable. And I think if they market it right, if they give it a great push, which they have been giving excellent marketing pushes to all of their projects, I see no issue with both of those movies being profitable. And I'm very excited for both of them. I'm very excited for Craig Gillespie Supergirl. I'm excited to see Millie Alcock more in the role. I'm excited to see Jason Momoa's Lobo. Nothing but excitement in the DCU in my mind. But with that down, guys, we are going to get finally to this week's top stories. And man, oh man, do we have some doozies here. I'm just trying to pull up a couple of notes here as well that I need to pull from on my side of things. And our first story is this. There is a little game franchise called Call of Duty. And Call of Duty is a game that I have enjoyed. I've played several of them. I obviously love Call of Duty Zombies, as does everyone. They're great. And with the arrival of that Halo series at Paramount, which had kind of come and went, and was not well received, I always thought Halo should have been a movie, personally. But something that's never really kind of been in the discussion is like, well, where's the Call of Duty movie? I mean, it's just going to be a war movie, but people would love to see, video game adaptations are not slowing down, no matter how much people want them to. So the question is, well, when are we going to get a Call of Duty movie? And the answer is now. Because Paramount and Activision have officially teamed up for a Call of Duty movie. Let me go ahead here and pull up the Deadline article. There's a feature project happening at the new Paramount under Skydance, which is close to Chairman and CEO David Ellison's heart, a live-action feature take on the best-selling Activision video game, Call of Duty. Now, I want to talk about just this first paragraph for a little bit here. Paramount under Skydance. They've been making nothing but big moves since Skydance has took over. They have put so much money into this company. They have that exclusive look with UFC, which is going to make them all sorts of money and bring in a whole different market to it. They've been producing some of the biggest movies. They have just did that massive deal with Matt Stone and Trey Parker, the $1 billion deal for South Park. Crazy work. And now they are working on a Call of Duty movie. That's just crazy to me. I don't understand where all this money's coming from, and it's some big swings, but I am loving it. Paramount has made it official that they've signed a film deal with Activision to bring the video game to the big screen. Ellison has played the game for some time, not to mention it's a project right in the wheelhouse for the Top Gun Maverick studio. Activision will be a creative partner on the film. Activision, under its Activision Blizzard Studios back in February 2018, tried to develop a big screen take of Call of Duty with Sicario 2 Salado director Stefano Salima attached, which did not get off the ground. Now, I have a lot of thoughts on this. One, very interested to see how this goes. I wonder what it's going to be like, and I think that there's a lot of franchise potential for it. And I think I would love to see them kind of go in different directions with all of the different realms of Call of Duty, let's call them. Like, we could just have a straight war movie with the first Call of Duty story. That's completely fine. I would love to see, obviously, a Call of Duty Zombies movies. Specifically, there's one thing you could do, the soldiers and the zombie, but we already had that with Overlord, which is an excellent movie. If you have never seen Overlord, I highly recommend it. It's basically Call of Duty Zombies. It's got Wyatt Russell. It's very good. No, I want Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies in the Pentagon. I want them to hire actors, cast actors to be Richard Nixon, to be John F. Kennedy, to be is it Fidel Castro that was in there too? Give me that movie. Are you kidding me? That's just going to be a wonderful time. You could even do something like, I would love to see something like, now my mind's just rattling. I'm not a writer, director, producer, but here's what I think they should do. I would love to see, almost, there was a movie called Free Fire, which was kind of a real time gun drug bust gone wrong, or drug deal gone wrong. And it's kind of this real time people hiding behind boxes, just occasionally popping off a pistol, and it's about their inner dynamic. I would love to see that, but with two snipers on the Rust map. I think you can make a great 90-minute film about that. So I'm very interested to see where this goes. But with this, too, there's some very interesting news on top of this that came out with it, which I have more thoughts about than them making a Call of Duty movie. And that is that Steven Spielberg, the Steven Spielberg, really wanted to direct a Call of Duty movie. His team pitched his vision for the film to Activision. Activision got spooked by Steven Spielberg wanting full control over the film, so they sold the rights to Paramount instead. That is going to go down as one of the biggest fumbles I have ever heard. Steven Spielberg wanted to make a movie for your company, and you said no? What a concept! Imagine telling Steven Spielberg, one of the greatest directors, period, I was going to say working, just period, wanted to make your video game movie that you've been having trouble getting off the ground? Let him! Who cares if he wants full control? He's Steven Spielberg. Give it to him. You're gonna have a great movie. I'm actually very sad Dalton's not here to talk about this. He's a bigger Steven Spielberg fan than myself. But I mean, wow. That news genuinely shocked me. Now I get you're a studio, you're a company, it's your video game, it's your property. Giving that full control over to someone could be intimidating, it could be nerve-wracking. It's Steven Spielberg. I really hope we get to hear what this pitch was. I would love to know what a Steven Spielberg directed Call of Duty would look like, what his in was, what he wanted to take it, but it's just crazy. Yes, and Morgan, I agree. That's crazy. Give us Steven Spielberg. Give us Steven Spielberg directing anything. I thought that was just a crazy story. But we'll see what happens. I'm very curious to see where they take this movie. I'm very curious to see who they get to work behind it. But guys, what did you think about the news of a Call of Duty movie? Are you excited? What kind of Call of Duty movie would you like to see? My vote is still Richard Nixon and John F. Kennedy fighting zombies in the Pentagon, but I would love to hear everyone else's ideas for it. With that down, we're going to move on to our next topic, and this is also based off a video game. It's a very video game heavy episode for a show that doesn't typically talk about video games. Also, we have Kai Lixer joining in the live chat, giving us a good howdy. Howdy, Kai Lixer, and happy birthday to you. I happen to know it's his birthday, so we are excited to have him in the chat. Morgan spreading that happy birthday love as well. So everyone give Kai Lixer a nice happy birthday in the chat if you're popping in. Video games. A video game series I've kind of played hit or miss, touch and go here was the Tomb Raider. I know that there have been a number of Tomb Raider movies starring Angelina Jolie. There was one recently, which I don't remember who actually played Lara Croft, but I know Walton Goggins was in the movie, which was really the only reason I was interested in seeing it. I still haven't watched it. But there's a new Tomb Raider series that is in the works, and they have cast their Lara Croft. And it is none other than Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones fame. She was also Jean Grey in the X-Men movies later on. And this is interesting for a number of reasons. Here, let me go ahead and pull up the article for you all. That is, Sophie Turner confirmed as Lara Croft as Prime Video's Tomb Raider sets production start date. Chad Hodge is joining creator Phoebe Waller-Bridge as co-showrunner. Now, I want to start off with this and saying, I love Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Fleabag is one of the best TV series I've ever seen. I think she's a terrific writer. And on top of this, she signed a exclusive first look deal and development deal with Amazon Prime about 5 years ago for many millions of dollars, a reported $20 million annually over 3 years. It's renewed in 2022. This is the first thing that she has fully developed with that deal since, I think, 2019. Get your bag. I love it. I would love for a studio to pay me to conceptually develop series that never happen. I would be great at it, I think. Give me $20 million instead. But this is the first thing that is actually coming into fruition with this deal, which is very exciting. I would have hesitations about a Tomb Raider series, but the fact that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is behind it just has me all the more excited about it. The Amazon-owned streamer has confirmed that Game of Thrones alum Sophie Turner will play Lara Croft in the Tomb Raider series from creator, writer, and showrunner Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Turner emerged as the frontrunner for the coveted role late last year from a short list of actresses that also included Mackenzie Davis, Emma Mackey, and Lucy Boynton. That is a tough list to compete against, and I'm very excited for Sophia Turner working on this. Series has also brought on Chad Hodge, Good Behavior, and Single All the Way as co-showrunner alongside Waller-Bridge, and set a January 19th date for production to begin. So they have already got this thing ready to go. And a director for the series is Jonathan Van Tulleken, who's directed Dope Thief as well as Shogun, which was a many nominated series. And I've heard nothing but positive things on it. I personally have not checked it out, but I'm very excited to watch it. Turner, whose recent credits include HBO Max's The Staircase and the CW miniseries Joan, will be the third actress to play the iconic video game character in live action after Angelina Jolie and Alicia Vikander. That's who played it. I could not remember before. I'm so excited to announce the formidable Sophie Turner as our Laura alongside this phenomenal creative team, Waller-Bridge said in a statement. It's not very often you get to make a show of this scale with a character you grew up loving. Everyone on board is wildly passionate about Laura and are all outrageous, brave, and hilarious as she is. Get your artifacts out. Croft is coming. I wouldn't say that I'm a huge Sophie Turner fan, but I think it seems like a very interesting casting choice that I'm very excited to see play out. Again, a lot of my excitement for this comes from the fact that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is involved in it. I think if this was announced with maybe some other people behind it, maybe I'd be a little less excited about it, but it has piqued my interest, as we'll say, and that's kind of all I have to say about that. But a lot of people in the live chat have some thoughts about it as well. Kylix is saying, I wonder if they'll give her triangles, which is a reference to the classic video game version of Lara Croft, who has, before graphics got very detailed, had a couple of triangles on it. Turniphead is in the chat saying, love Phoebe Waller-Bridge, as do I, but when was the last time Sophie Turner did anything good? Crickets from her. Kylix is saying, couldn't name anything Sophie Turner has been in other than that one revenge movie and got Game of Thrones, obviously. That's true. She was also, as I said, Jean Grey in the later X-Men movies, and was also, as I mentioned here, on this series Joan, which I actually did hear very good things about. I just never got a chance to check it out, but I heard that she gave a great performance in it. And if you look at her Instagram recently, I don't have any of the photos, but she is jacked for this role. She has gotten ripped. She is ready to go for that production start date. And I think it's going to be, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to see kind of the first look as we start getting set pics, her in the outfit. I'm curious how many episodes Phoebe Waller-Bridge has written. I know that she's directed a few things as well, so I'm curious if the Shogun director will be handling all the episodes or if she's going to come in step. I think there's some interesting stuff to see in this. But with that down, we are going to move on to our next topic. And now this one is not officially confirmed, but it is something that I am very much excited about and just excited about the concept of it. I am a huge fan of the Muppets. There was a Muppet series that came out in 2015, which was absolutely incredible. I thought it was hysterical. It only got one season. It was on ABC. It was about them making a late night show for Miss Piggy. It was kind of the behind the scenes, kind of like a 30 Rock, but with the Muppets. One of the funniest shows I've ever seen. And there have been a couple of little like Muppet things on Disney Plus. There was like a Muppet Haunted Mansion. They did this weird like COVID series called Muppet Now, which was not that great. They just closed down, obviously, the Muppet Vision 3D ride at Disney's Hollywood Studios, but they are opening a Muppets Electric Mayhem roller coaster. There was also the Electric Mayhem series, which I watched all of. Was not a big fan of that, unfortunately. But there's a new rumor out, and I'm just going to share this image. Whoop, forgot to hit slideshow. And that is that Seth Rogen is developing and producing a reboot of the classic Muppet Show for Fox. Let me go to my single here. Let him do it. Yes. The studio is one of the best shows on TV right now. I'm very excited for the second season. Seth Rogen has a number of producing jobs under his belt that he's done incredible with. He's a producer on Invincible, on The Boys, on the AMC show Preacher. He has obviously the involvement with the studio there, which I believe was just nominated for like every Emmy out there. And I'm going to cut here now to the article. Rumor, The Muppet Show pilot in the works at Fox. Seth Rogen attached as producer. For a few weeks now, there have been rumblings of a new The Muppet Show pilot. The project was listed on various Hollywood casting production websites with Michael Steinbeck of the Muppet Studios as a producer. In a listing from the Film and Television Industry Alliance, it has revealed some of the talent behind the potential reboot of The Muppet Show. A new iteration of The Muppet Show is being developed by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg of Point Grey Pictures. Disney has wanted to work with Point Grey for some time, as Rogen's production company has been attached to a Figment film and a continuation of Darkwing Duck. I did not know about any of that. Yes, let's get a Darkwing Duck reboot going. 100%. Alex Timbers, who directed John Mulaney Baby J, his stand-up, is attached to direct the pilot. The Jim Henson Company will be involved as well. A little quote here from the listing of Film and Television Industry Alliance. The Muppet Show pilot is set to reintroduce the beloved characters with a fresh twist, blending classic charm with new comedic sketches. The project aims to capture the heart and humor that made the original a cultural icon. So I'm very curious to see, because the original Muppet series was very much kind of like a variety show. You had the skits, you had a celebrity host, kind of like SNL, but with the Muppets. Musical act, which was typically Electric Mayhem and some big band. So I'm very curious to see if they'll do that a variety, if they're going to kind of take it in a more fresh direction. That I don't know. But I think that the Muppets need to kind of have this resurgence that they've been trying for a while. And I think coming off the hype of the studio, having Seth Rogen involved as a producer, having Fox, I think is all going to be positive. And it's something I'm very excited about. And yeah, I hope it happens. I really do. I can't think of a better team and a better group of people to be handling the Muppets and taking it over, outside of just giving Jason Segel back. We have a lot of people, too, in the chat very excited. Kylixer saying, am I a man or am I a Muppet? Morgan Bernard finishing the lyric, if I'm a Muppet, then I'm a very manly Muppet. Very manly Muppet. Kylixer also saying, I'm down for anything Muppet related. You know me. I'm down for anything Muppet related at all times. So, nothing but positive on this story. It is, again, I want to clarify, just a rumor. But man, I hope it is a true rumor. But we'll see what ends up happening. But with that down, guys, we are now going to finally get on to our main topic. I think we're an hour in. So apologies for that, but we had a lot of trailers, a lot of images, and a lot of news stories to talk about. There was a little movie that came out this year called Superman. It was directed by a man named James Gunn, who directed Guardians of the Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and The Suicide Squad, the good one, as I like to call it. We also have Peacemaker Season 2 airing, which, again, I said earlier in the show, is been very great. I've been enjoying it week over week. I'm very excited the direction it's going. Love seeing all the interconnectivity that's already happening with this and Superman and the DCU as a whole. We've already gotten some cameos, some appearances. Very exciting stuff. But we, as Superman people, we have not had the best luck with Superman sequels. We had Man of Steel, but Man of Steel never really got a sequel. You had Batman vs. Superman and Justice League, but there's never really ever been a true kind of just Superman sequel. Well, that ends today as James Gunn has officially announced there is a Superman sequel happening, and it is officially titled Man of Tomorrow. First off, what a title. What a title indeed. And there's more to this too, guys, because this movie, it's moving. The feature with Lex Luthor and Superman will arrive in 2027. Guys, we have not had a Superman sequel turnaround like that in some time, if not ever. What great news. Imagine the concept of getting a sequel announced, greenlit, and ready to start production this quickly. Marvel Studios could never. Where's Shang-Chi 2? Why is there not a Fantastic Four 2 announcement? What the hell are we doing? Where's Doctor Strange 3? I'll pull from the article here. James Gunn has unveiled the next project in his Superman saga, as he's been calling it. Man of Tomorrow will be in theaters July 9th, 2027, putting it out around 4th of July weekend. Hell yeah. Are you kidding me? America. The announcement was accompanied by a drawing by DC head Jim Lee featuring Lex Luthor in a green and purple mech suit with Superman leaning against him, a slight smile as he holds a screwdriver. Gunn has been teasing this feature for weeks, saying that his next project won't be a direct sequel to Superman, but will feature characters audiences already know from his summer film. Now, he's saying it's not a direct sequel. It's going to be a direct sequel. It's going to be Superman 2. He just wanted to have a fun title. Because remember too, the Superman movie was originally titled Superman Legacy, which having Legacy in your first movie of a new universe was kind of an interesting choice. So I'm glad they just went with Superman. Quote, I've already finished the treatment for the next story in what I'll call the Superman saga, Gunn told The Hollywood Reporter last month at the premiere for his TV show Peacemaker. I'm working on that and hopefully going into production on that not too far away from today. It's unclear what the story will be, but there was a Superman Man of Tomorrow animated movie in 2020 that featured Lobo. Jason Momoa will be playing that character in Supergirl. The animated movie was based on a 2003 miniseries titled Superman Birthright that was a modernization of the Superman origin story. Coming up down the pipe, we have DC Studios' Greg Gillespie's Supergirl due out June 2026, and James Watkins' horror title Clayface stated for September 2026. A lot of thoughts here. One, again, I think it is just going to be kind of a direct sequel to Superman. I'd be shocked. He has also come out and said that the last few episodes of Peacemaker Season 2 directly set up Man of Tomorrow. And I do love, with the exception of Clayface, I love that kind of the first big movies in this universe are kind of this interconnected story of the super family. You know, we've had very sporadic, we went from Superman to Batman to Wonder Woman. We were kind of jumping around a lot. Aquaman, because they were trying to build up to a Justice League. So I like the idea that we're getting Superman, and then we're going to get Supergirl as the next feature, followed by this Man of Tomorrow. I just like that the Superman corner of the DCU is getting really fleshed out, and it shows that they're kind of taking their time to really develop all these different segments of it. You know, I bet we'll start getting into a lot more of kind of the mystical side. Like, we have Swamp Thing that's going to be happening. He is really vocal about getting Batman going, a Wonder Man movie going. So I would love the idea of, too, just these little sagas building out the corners before we get the culmination. Like, we'll get a Batman movie. Maybe we'll get a Nightwing feature. We'll have Wonder Woman and have some Amazonian, some Themyscira stuff. I like that he's really fleshing out what this world is and what it's going to be. So, I love it. I'm excited for it. I think I'm very curious to see who's going to be in it. As mentioned, Lex Luthor is kind of being listed as a co-lead in the movie. So I'm curious if this is going to be a scenario too where there's like a bigger threat. I think Brainiac, where they kind of have to team up and battle it out, friends, enemies to friends, but still enemies at the end of the day. I think Lex Luthor's someone who knows how to use his public motivation, use his not public motivation, but his public persona, his profile. And there's a very famous comic run too where Lex Luthor becomes president. I would be very interested to see like a sort of run where Lex Luthor kind of uses his goodwill after saving the day in Man of Tomorrow to set up like a presidential campaign. I think that'd be something to see. I'm excited to see David Cornsweet again. I would be shocked if we don't see him, if not in Peacemaker season 2, definitely in Supergirl, probably in a small cameo as well. So I like that we are just out the gate getting this interconnectivity. We're getting cameos, we're getting people appearing in other projects. We have people from the movies showing up in TV, we have people from TV showing up in movies, which is something that I think Marvel has struggled with and has not really had that fluid and that connectivity. I think it's smart that they're kind of building that into their contracts, because I think that was kind of where Marvel went wrong, is doubling on the features, maybe not having as much built out. So nothing but positive here. I really love Superman. I'm very excited for Supergirl, and I'm very excited for Clayface. Nothing but positive in DC for my mind. We have a couple of chats here as well. Turnip saying, yes, this is why I'm watching. Yes, we have a big Superman fan there. Don't even get Morgan started on Man of Steel. Morgan is a big Man of Steel fan. She was not a big fan of Superman, unfortunately, there. Kylixer asking, why do I like the title? It's a great question. One, based off of that movie that came out, Superman, Man of Tomorrow, just this idea of the future, what the future holds. Superman is supposed to be the embodiment of good, of hope, and this idea of wanting to reach his heights, wanting to be like Superman as a role model, and especially coming off of Superman, where he was sort of dragged through the mud. His public image was kind of ruined. People were not sure what to believe. And then at that end, you kind of see that hope grow. So I think the idea of Man of Tomorrow and wanting to build this sort of better future is a very good title. Also, you have, I believe, Supergirl is actually officially titled Woman of Tomorrow, based off of that comic run. So I think that that is also part of just building out this saga. You have Superman, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow going into Superman, Man of Tomorrow. I think it is just officially titled Man of Tomorrow, though. And I don't know, it was just a title that just evoked some feeling in me that I can't really describe, but just, I was like, yeah, I like that. I dig it. We have Man of Steel, but Man of Tomorrow. What does tomorrow look like? How can we make that better? Is, I think, what Superman's all about. Morgan Bernard says, can you really call this a sequel when the first movie felt like a third movie? Yes, you can, because they said it's a sequel. Oregon is giving Superman slander. Morgan is giving Superman slander. That's right, she is. We can't have it. Man of Steel was the best. God blessed me with a girlfriend who likes Superman movies, but also made her a Snyder bro. So sometimes he gets the last laugh. I do want to also share, though, they did have, as we mentioned, some great comic art from Jim Lee. I can hear Morgan laughing in the other room from that Snyder bro comment. Here's the artwork. I was able to pull it up here. So this is illustration by famous comic author Jim Lee here. So we get Superman punching Lex Luthor in his mecha suit. But then we have the little buddy cop of them together. He's got his screwdriver, probably helping him get in or get out. Lex Luthor's ready for battle, and we got the duo team here, there. And this was posted across James Gunn's social media. This was posted across David Cornsweet and Nicholas Hoult. I almost just called him Lex Luthor. That's how good that performance was. So clearly they are just off of this really indicating, I cannot click this back arrow, some sort of team up between the two. Obviously not in this image, but I think the vibe is that like they are going to end up reluctantly working together. And I'm all here for it. One of my favorite genres of film is the two-hander. I love a buddy cop. I love people with opposing positions that are forced to reluctantly team up together. And I think the idea of having Lex and Superman having a reason to team up together is going to be very interesting to see. But that'll do it for the main topic, guys. What do you think about Superman Man of Tomorrow? Are you excited? Are you interested? Could you care less about a Superman sequel? I for one am just excited we're getting sequel announcements as quick as they are. As we move on now to the B-roll. Now, what is the B-roll, you're probably asking yourself? Well, the B-roll is simply a couple of stories that we wanted to touch on that we just did not felt had the need to become main topics, but we still wanted to address them because we are, at the end of the day, a movie news show, and this is all movie news, but we can only stream for so long. We can only do so many shows a week. So this is the B-roll coming at you. We're going to run through this. Amy Adams and Aaron Pierre. So Amy Adams, famous for Night Bitch and Arrival, I guess. And Aaron Pierre, who was in the Netflix movie Rebel Ridge and is actually playing the Green Lantern John Stewart in the upcoming Lantern series. Forgot to mention that when we were talking DC. Well, they have joined the cast of Shawn Levy's Starfighter movie. That is the Starfighter movie news that I was teasing earlier when we were talking about the first look images. I mean, they have a wonderful cast for this movie coming out. You got Ryan Gosling, Mia Goth, Matt Smith, and now you have Amy Adams and Aaron Pierre in the mix. Nothing but positive vibes coming off of Star Wars Starfighter. I'll be completely honest. Obviously, naturally, no information is revealed about the roles. It's undisclosed, as is the plot, obviously. But I mean, I think they're pulling together a wonderful cast, and I'm nothing but excited for the movie. Daniel Melchior, who's pictured here on the left, and Kristen Bell have joined the cast of Violent Night 2, the David Harbour movie about the violent Santa Claus. Which, one, why is that movie getting a sequel? Two, why am I actually excited about it? Three, they got good talent behind it. Daniel Melchior was, obviously, she played Ratcatcher in James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie. She was also in the Roadhouse movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. I don't know if she's going to be in the sequel to that. And Kristen Bell is Kristen Bell. She's wonderful. The Good Place is great. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm excited for a Violent Night 2. I personally didn't even know it was happening. I love David Harbour, though, so I'm going to check it out. And especially if you're adding talent to your cast like this, sure. Why not? Give me Violent Night 2. Speaking of sequels, Mortal Kombat 2 has, we talked about on the show recently. We did some first look images. We went through the trailer, broke that down. I was even at the movie last night. Where I saw, oh my god, why am I blanking? What did I see? Conjuring Last Rites, where they played this trailer in front of that movie with the wrong release date because it has now been delayed about 7 months to summer of next year. Now, the report did not really cite why it was delayed. The movie's wrapped and sitting on a shelf. Maybe they didn't want to go with that kind of October, November release. Maybe they wanted to get that summer blockbuster vibe going, but I mean, I think they're going to have some stiff competition next summer. So, is this the right move? I don't know. Am I excited for the movie? I don't know. Did I think the trailer was cool? I don't know. Do I love Carl Urban? Yes. But now I have to wait longer to see him, and that just makes me sad. This next one upset me, I won't lie. Warwick Davis, who was in Harry Potter as Professor Flitwick. Let's see if I get my Harry Potter knowledge correct. Kai Lixer can correct me. I know he's a big Harry Potter fan. He was also in a number of projects. He was in Willow. Well, he has been announced as returning and reprising the role of Professor Flitwick in the HBO Harry Potter series, which just keeps begging the question, why are we doing this? Now, I'm not in support of the show. I'm going to watch it. I'm very interested to see where they're going. I think they have some great castings coming out with, like, Nick Frost as Hagrid. You have, oh my god, why am I blanking on his name right now, as Dumbledore. John Lithgow as Dumbledore. But then images started coming out of the series. We got our first look as, I don't remember his last name, but I know his first name's Dominic, as Harry Potter. We got the look of Nick Frost as Hagrid, and they look the same. They didn't try to change the costuming. They didn't try to change the look. Now, I know that there is only so much you can do based on books. The books describe everything. The movies were perfect, so they did everything perfectly. So what can you do? But it feels like there's no attempt to try to make it different from what we've seen from these images. And now when you're coming out and saying that you have literally a actor from the movies reprising their role, it just begs the question, what are we doing? Wasn't the whole point to try to make it different? Why are we doing the same? I'm telling you right now, if they cast Tom Felton, not as Draco, but as Lucius Malfoy, I think I'm out. I think I I have this weird gut feeling that that's going to happen. There's been no rumors of it. There's been no indication that it's happening. This, though, just like I had that feeling in my stomach, this happened and it just felt like a pit. I'm like, oh, that's happening. And I think with that, they might lose my goodwill. I've been trying to be positive. I've been trying to be supportive. As I try to do on this channel, I don't like to kind of spew the negativity about film. I like to raise film up. I like to be excited about film, about TV news. I feel like that would take me out of it. I think they would lose a lot of goodwill with me there, if not turn me off from the show entirely. And we have some other people in the chat here as well saying, Kylixter confirming it was Flitwick. I was correct. He said, let's go. Kylixter said, glad they're copying themselves, and says, being sarcastic, by the way. Exactly. I am glad they're copying themselves. Listen, it's kind of like it's going to be like How to Train Your Dragon, right? Where they made it live action, made the same exact movie. So, like, of course it's going to be, at the very least, good, because the original was so good, but it's still not going to be as good as the original because they didn't try to do anything different, and I could just go watch the animated movie. So, like, I hope with How to Train Your Dragon, like a sequel, they just do a completely different story than the actual animated second movie. I want to see them going in a different direction. I wish Harry Potter was doing the same, but if you're going to recreate it, I'm sure then it'll be at least good because of how good the originals are. Turnip Head, saying crazy name pull. Morgan Bernard saying, what's the point? What's the point indeed? Kylixer, classic Harry Potter name. Flitwick, obscure name. Dumbledore. Don't be positive. It's going to be ass. Hate it, hate it, hate it. I don't want to hate it. They've done... I don't have the same attachment and endearment for Harry Potter as a lot of people have. I watched them very late into life. I was not like a series I grew up with. So I am interested in it. I love the idea of taking something, we're going to have to keep seeing it. We're seeing it, how long until Marvel, does it? We're going to have another Iron Man. We're going to have another Captain America. We're going to have new Thors. Outside of the MCU, it's going to happen. So I like the idea of it conceptually. I like to see what creative direction they want to take things. But it's when they start just repeating and doing the same thing is when I get annoyed. They've copied themselves and are just making it worse. They've done nothing to make you like it. They've actually done a good amount to make me like it. They hired the Succession showrunners, which is an excellent show, and I trust that team behind it creatively. They had great casting choices, I think, with Nick Frost, with John Lithgow, and oh my god, I'm blanking on her name right now, but who they cast as McGonagall. She was in Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, and I do want to give credit to her name. I think she's an excellent choice to be playing McGonagall, and her name is, Janet McTeer. So they have done stuff that has made me excited about it, made me interested into it. The issue is that a lot of it also hasn't. But so they can make more money. I mean, yeah, money's behind it at the end of the day. But guys, I've rambled on too long about Flitwick and coming back. Good for work, Davis. Get your bag. I hope we don't see this Tom Felton Lucius casting, but we'll see what else they pull out of their sleeve. Maybe a trailer comes out and we get excited about it. This next B-roll is very interesting. So, Jordan Peele has not made a movie in quite some time. Nope was a big hit for me. I really liked it, and I've been actively excited for his next film. I want to see the title. I want to see how non-SEO friendly he can make it, such as Get Out, Us, and Nope. I think it's a great move, because now you have to put Jordan Peele in front of it. Jordan Peele's Get Out, Jordan Peele's Us, Jordan Peele's Nope. Great marketing strategy. His next film has been officially taken off of the Universal release calendar. And you're thinking, oh no, production troubles. Is he not making it? Is he, what happened here? Well, it also came out that there's no script. He hasn't even started writing it yet. They gave it a release date for Jordan Peele's next movie because, I mean, yeah, you got to lock that down, right? But that's all that is. I'm very sad that we're gonna have to wait a little longer to get Jordan Peele's next movie, but I hope it's just something he's taking the time, that he has the idea. I love the idea that Universal just gave him a release date and said, whatever you want, this date's yours. But that's kind of it. We're just gonna have to wait a little longer for Jordan Peele's movie. And this last one excites me very much. There was a movie that came out directed by David Ayer, starring Jason Statham, and it is not Working Man because that movie is a hot pile of garbage. But the reason I was excited for Working Man was for a movie that they did called The Beekeeper. And I loved that movie. I thought it was fantastic. I had a wonderful time with it. Jason Statham was great in the role. You had a cast with Emma Redgrave from Doctor Who. I think I got her name right, or it might be wrong there. Jeremy Irons and Josh Hutcherson was the villain in the movie. It was just a good time. So I never thought that I'd get a sequel for this, but The Beekeeper 2 has been announced for a while now, with Timo Tejano directing it, who directed Nobody 2, which has just hit theaters, which is a movie I very much enjoyed. Got me more excited for The Beekeeper 2. But Jeremy Irons is officially coming back in it, which just makes me excited. I think Jeremy Irons is a phenomenal actor. He might be one of my favorite Alfreds, if not my favorite Alfred. He had very limited screen time. Ben Affleck's Batman's also my favorite Batman, but that's a whole different argument and debate. But I thought he'd get great with the limited time. He's my favorite Disney villain in Scar. Scar's always been my favorite Disney villain. So I think it's just exciting that he's ready to come back to The Beekeeper. He wants to come back. He needs to protect the hive. So nothing but positive news on there. I am always going to talk about Beekeeper no matter what it takes. But guys, sorry, I just have to take the drinking pauses because normally Dalton's here to talk and I can sip. We're now going to move on. That was the end of the B-roll, to our next segment here. And our next segment is called Off the Reel. Now, what is Off the Reel? Off the Reel is a time when Dalton and I usually pose questions to each other over text, and then we say, no. Let's save it for the episode. We'll add it in. It gives us a chance to rant, gives us a chance to ramble, gives us a chance to debate. Dalton's not here today, so it's going to be very one-sided, but we like to pull these questions from, stuff we see on Twitter, stuff that we just think about from news articles. A few of them have been user-generated, so if you leave a great question on any of our social medias or on the channel, we'll pull it if we want to talk about it. It's great. We'd love to see it. We'd love the engagement. We'd love to include you guys in the show as well. So we're going to go on to our first question, and that is this. Will Superman cameo in Peacemaker Season 2? Now, there's not going to be a back and forth here, but my answer is yes. I do think that Superman will cameo in Peacemaker Season 2. Now, there is an argument to be made that he already has spoilers for Peacemaker Episode 1 in Season 2, but it wasn't really. I'm talking, I want to see full David Cornsweet, Superman suit and all, or even if it's Clark Kent, like, I want David Cornsweet to have dialogue, I want him to have lines, like, I want a true cameo, not just a quick blink and you'll miss it moment. And I do think it's going to happen for a number of reasons. One, we have already had several ties to the DCU in this season so far. There have been a number of cameos that have actually been cameos, true cameos, and part of the overall narrative. James Gunn has also teased several things in that reviewers were only given episodes 1 through 5, not 6, 7, and 8. And he's teased that they're some of the best stuff that he's worked on, James Gunn's favorite stuff that he's worked on, and that the end of Peacemaker Season 2 directly sets up Superman Man of Tomorrow. Now, I do think from the trailers, there is a bit of dialogue that Rick Flag Sr. has, that he says that he needs to go to Belle Reve. I think we are getting a Lex Luthor cameo. I think that's who he's going to see in Belle Reve Prison. I think it's him or Amanda Waller. I would not be shocked if it is Lex Luthor, though, especially if we're starting to get ties to the greater narrative of where this story's going. But I think if you're telling me that Peacemaker Season 2 is directly setting up Superman Man of Tomorrow, I would be shocked if we don't get Superman in it, especially if they want to be building off the hype post Superman to keep the sort of energy going for the universe, I think it's almost a guarantee. When it happens, I don't know. I would imagine probably the finale, Go Big or Go Home. I would love to see just more cameos from like the Justice Gang. We've gotten a few already, but I would love to see Mr. Terrific. I would love to see him come into the fold. I wonder if maybe we'll get some Daily Planet stuff. Maybe we'll get that more of that crew in. I don't know. I think there's a lot of cameo possibilities that can happen. But I can say definitively, I think that Superman will cameo fully in Peacemaker season 2. Morgan Bernard says Clark Kent in Peacemaker. Who is that? Clark Kent is a reporter at the Daily Bugle. He wears glasses, has curly hair, is a little bit of goofball. He's dating another reporter at the Daily Planet named Lois Lane, but Lois Lane's also actually seeing Superman. So there's a bit of a love triangle happening there, which is very interesting. I'm very excited to see how that plays out. He wears glasses. I think he would look better without glasses, personally, Clark Kent, but he keeps them on. So we'll see if he ends up showing up in Peacemaker. If not Clark Kent, maybe Superman. I hear Morgan laughing from the other room at that comment, which means I don't think she put together Clark Kent is Superman. So maybe the hypno glasses do work. We're going to go now to our next off the reel question, which actually came from Dalton himself. He texted me. I said, hey, give me one. Throw one in the PowerPoint. I don't want to look at it. I want to be surprised, and we'll see what happens here. So that is this. Will Man of Tomorrow be the next Iron Man 2? Now, that is a very interesting question, Dalton. I think what he's asking here, or what he's saying, is that Iron Man 2 was a movie that really kind of, as the MCU was starting to take shape, they crammed so much into that Iron Man 2 just became MCU the movie. You had Nick Fury, you had a Black Widow, you had all this setup of the Avengers Initiative. They were really like, all right, we're going to use Iron Man 2 as the way to kind of funnel and really set up where this story is going. We're going to get people caught up to speed with everything we want them to know about this universe. So I think he's just asking, will Man of Tomorrow be the next Iron Man 2? Is Man of Tomorrow going to be the movie in the DCU that really sets the course for where everything's going, what they want you to know, trying to catch you up? And I would say that no, it is not going to be the next Iron Man 2, because I would argue that Superman was that. Superman threw you immediately into the action. Here's your Clark Kent. Here's Superman. Him and Lois are already dating. Don't worry about that. Here we have the introduction of the multi-dimensional portals, the rifts there. So now you know what those are. Those are going to be important as we keep moving forward. There's aliens, because we have Metamorpho. We have that. We have Baby Joey. We're going to have this little parallel dimension. We're going to have black holes, and we're going to have this sort of space mystical side of things. We're going to have the Justice Gang. So the Justice Gang is already, the Justice Society, they're already started to take root. We have a Green Lantern, because that's going to be important for the Lantern series. You have Hawkgirl, because she has powers. We have Humans with the Wings. You have Mr. Terrific. You know, they have set up so many different heroes. You have the giant kaiju that he fights. So now we can have monsters in our universe. I think it just set up so much about what the universe can be. It threw a lot at the screen. For me, it all worked. I really enjoyed Superman. But I think that they use that as the way to get you prepared for everything that you're about to see. For example, these dimensional rifts, these portals, are a huge part and a huge element of Peacemaker Season 2. The same thing with the inclusion of Rick Flag there being at Argus. We're now seeing him kind of working at Argus in Peacemaker Season 2. You know, I think it threw a lot at you. You even got a Peacemaker cameo in Superman, so you know who Peacemaker is before you go back to the show. So I would argue that Superman was already that for the DCU, and I think that Man of Tomorrow, while he's saying is not going to be a Superman sequel directly, I think it'll be more of that than setting up kind of what the rest of the DCU will look like. But that's just my take on it. I'd be very curious to talk more about it with you as well, or if you want to bring it up on the next show, give your thoughts if you disagree. But that'll do it, guys, for that segment of Off the Reel. As always, if you have some comments or ideas or questions for Off the Reel, post them in the chat, post them as a comment, put them on social media, and we would love to talk about it on the show. We're always looking for questions. We're always looking for the engagement on that. But now it is time to move on to Dalton's favorite part of the show, and that is the box office. I am super nervous about this, guys, because Dalton is the one who always does the box office, and he does such a terrific job with it. And the numbers website is very slow, and I am very bad about pulling up all of them ahead of time, which Dalton is very good about, so he's able to go through it quickly. But we did end up not having a show last week, which means that we did not make any predictions. But that is not going to stop us from talking about the weekend box office chart. Let me share my screen here. So, coming in at number 1 in the box office, we have Weapons, making $10.4 million. Coming in second, in its 2,620th weekend, the re-release of Jaws, making $9.6 million. Just barely missing that number 1 spot with Weapons. Holy crap, that's exciting. I do wish Dalton was here to talk about it. Jaws is his favorite movie. I saw him at the movie last night, and he looked at me and said, "You better do the box office, and you better talk about Jaws." So that is me doing that. Coming in third in its first opening weekend was that new Darren Aronofsky film, Caught Stealing, making $7.8 million, losing and coming in third by a substantial amount considering it's Jaws in its 2000th opening weekend. Coming in fourth, you have Freakier Friday, making another 6.7. Coming in fifth, The Roses, making 6.25. Fantastic Four: First Steps, making another 5 million. Bad Guys 2, making 4.7. Superman, making another 2.5. Nobody 2, making 1.8. And The Naked Gun, making 1.8 as well. Now, this was a weak weekend. We had a lot of strong numbers the past weekends, 20 plus openings. So it is sad to see kind of that dip there, but I'm very excited. We have the Conjuring movie coming out, which I think is going to open very well. And I just wish that, I wish that the box office was stronger than it has been lately, but I want to dive into these numbers a little bit more with you guys here. So we're going to pull up that number 1 spot for Weapons, which so far has a domestic box office total of 137.6 million, international 100, with a worldwide total of $241 million. Pretty good for Weapons, pretty good for original movies, pretty good for horror movies. We love to see it happening. It had a production budget of $38 million, which leaves its current box office at 6.4 times the production budget. Good for Zach Cregger. I'm so excited about it. I know there's rumors about a prequel series or a prequel movie happening. I don't know about it, but I know that Zach Cregger is just going to be busy for quite some time, and I'm very excited about it. And now we are running into all the glitchiness of this here. We're going to pull up Jaws, which so far has a worldwide box office of 495 million, getting that over the 5 mark with the total domestic video sales there. We're going to pull up those farther financial details. Nope, we're not. Guys, the box office site sucks. I mean, we love the numbers, don't get me wrong, but wow, it is slow. I'll be honest, guys, this is still trying to load for me, so I think we're going to have to cut the box office short here. I don't want you guys to just be sitting around while I try to pull up random numbers. But we got the top 10. We got the top 5. But now I do want to take this time, however, to make predictions. Of course. Now it goes, nope, it lied to me. We're just going to go into predictions, guys. I'm so sorry. I know you come for the box office, but Dalton's the one that does it. Kylix are saying Jaws showing up, showing people why it's the first blockbuster. The box office doesn't want to be seen. And no one wants to see the movies in the box office, as we could saw by those abysmal numbers there. But, it was... I just wanted to take the time to do it because I thought it was very important that Jaws came in second, which is just great news. But we're going to go on here, and now we're going to do our predictions for next week. So I think one easy, right off the gate, I think Conjuring Last Rites think it's RITES. I could be wrong there. I think that's going to come in number one. I think that's an easy slot. People love horror movies. I'm trying to pull up what else is coming into theaters right now. My Wi-Fi works for that, but not for the box office, guys. Haha. Conjuring Last Rites is going to come in at number one, opening up this weekend. Ooh, we have the Hamilton release in theaters. I mean, based on these numbers that we were seeing before, I don't know how well any other new feature is going to go in. Call me crazy. I'm actually going to go. I'm going to go Hamilton coming in second there. I think the re-release of that is going to do very well. I wish I could pull up the other five here so I can remember where we're going to go here. I think Hamilton has more than 5 million on it if Weapons takes that drop. I am going to go Weapons in third though. Weapons in third. And then I think I'm just going to keep, honestly, with what we have here. I'm going to go, I think Caught Stealing is going to come and go. I think we're going to have Freakier Friday. I think The Rose is going to drop off as well. I think we're going to go Freakier Friday. And I think we're going to go Fantastic Four First Steps. Actually, no. I'm sorry. Looking at these numbers again, Fantastic Four 5. I'm going to go with the new comedy Splitsville, starring Dakota Johnson and Adriana Aroja. I've heard nothing but positive things on it, so I'm gonna see if that movie can get a little more than 3 million on it. I think that'd be very nice to see. Kyler Ixer says it's embarrassed because Jaws beat everything. It is embarrassed. That's but that just shows the power of Jaws. But guys, that will do it for the box office. Please leave in the comments your predictions for the next 5. If you are right, we will shout you on the show. And as always, that is the end of the show. That is our last segment. So now we get to do all of the fun housekeeping stuff. Guys, if you like what you see, obviously, we love doing it. We love to give you guys the news. If you like what you saw, please like, subscribe. Please check out our other videos. We have a ton of reviews coming out. We love to do reviews on the channel. We love to present the news to you guys. You can find links to all our social media. We post clips. We post community tab polls. We love to get you guys engaged in the show as much as possible. So please be sure to follow us on that. Check out that NordVPN link if you like to have and watch region-locked movies. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.